Today we're taking Taz, the newest member of our herd, out again for a mountain ride. Coming along with us is Riata, our Molly mule.
You got it?
Taz has been at our place for a little over a month now. We've worked with him a few times, but for the most part we've been letting him eat all he can, gain some weight, and settle into the routine around our place. Taz is a 7-year-old gelding who originally belonged to a neighbor of ours. While our neighbors are extremely kind with their equines, Taz had a hard experience when they sent him to a trainer as a 2-year-old. Like you hear so many times, the trainer seemed reputable, but when Taz came home, he was a different horse. He was more fearful and riddled with anxiety. That trainer later had many unhappy clients and even faced some animal abuse charges. We have no idea what Taz went through while he was at that trainer, but our neighbors did their best to help him become the horse he once was. Although Taz regained much of his friendliness, his anxiety never fully went away. They eventually offered him to us, feeling that we might be able to help him continue moving forward. It's been a little while, but today we're heading out with Taz again to put another ride on him and help him work through whatever comes up. I braided Taz's mane to help train it to lay over to one side. He definitely got the Appaloosa mane and tail genetics from his mom, but we'll give this a try and see how it goes. We also pulled his front shoes and gave him a trim. The angles in his front hooves weren't even, and he had some stiffness in his gait. After the trim and relieving some of the toe pressure he had on one side, he already seems to be moving better. He may end up being a little too tender-footed to stay barefoot next summer, but over the winter we plan to pull his back shoes as well and let him go barefoot for a while. I wish I knew exactly what happened to Taz while he was at the trainer. It might help me piece together some of his more puzzling behavior. Not knowing makes it harder sometimes, but we just have to take him where he's at and work with what he shows us. Riata, our mule, also came from an abusive past. She was extremely fearful and timid when we first brought her home. And looking at her now, it's hard to believe how far she's come. She has grown into such an amazing mule. Because of that, I truly feel that with time, consistency, and patience, we can help Taz overcome his anxiousness too. We start all of our horses and mules in just a plain snaffle, but Taz, he just has a lot of anxiety. Like a lot of people commented our last ride with him that, oh, he doesn't like that bit. And for those of you that don't know, if a horse has a lot of anxiety going on, you're gonna see that come out in behavior like pawing or prancing around or like chomping at the bit, just because there's a lot going on and they have to move somehow. So a lot of times it comes out in their mouth. So I just want to talk about that. Like when you start colts, it's really normal for them to chew at the bit, right? And he's basically a colt. Like he is a 7-year-old, but he's really green. He's got a lot of anxiety. So you're gonna see that come out in his bit. But we did give him this bit. I don't really like these broken snaffles like this, but it has a little roller in there. So we're gonna try it out today. Just see if he likes that. It's going to give him something to play with, so he might actually be working it more, but maybe instead of this like chomping motion, he's got more like tongue action that he can use and just work through some of that. So anyway, for all those that have been commenting about, oh, he doesn't like that bit, a lot of that is just his brain. Like he just is anxious. He's just unhappy because he's anxious. So you're going to see that coming out in the bit. It really has nothing to do with the bit. But we're going to try this and see if maybe playing with this can help him a little bit with that. Just give him something to do as well with his mouth instead of just the chomping motion. So we'll see how it goes. He might hate this one. We'll just go back to a regular smooth snaffle. So we'll try that. This one's smooth too, but it just has that extra little piece there. So just a D-ring, but it is broken with a roller. This is kind of like a cricket would be on a bridle horse bridle, a spade bit, anything like that. They have a cricket and you can hear it. And you can tell a lot by them mentally how much they're moving that cricket and what it sounds like. So I can't hear this one. I wish I could. I guess it'd probably be constantly going with Taz just because his little brain is constantly going. But as he settles into everything, he's gonna get a lot quieter with his mouth because his brain's gonna get a lot quieter. So, oh buddy, he's just kind of an anxious mess. Like, he has a lot of weird little things even standing at the trailer. We just like to observe Taz, and he'll just stand there and he'll just kick out. He does it like out in the field. If he's mentally like someone else left or something and he's a little frazzled, he'll just stand there. He kicked the feeder the other day and spooked himself because he just like does it without thinking. And you got to be careful when you're walking around the back of him because he just, yeah, I mean, thankfully it's not very powerful. It's kind of like a little slow kick, but he would just kick you. And he's just got some weird things that he goes through, and then he starts yawning and like comes off of that, and then he kind of like elevates himself, and then he like yawns and comes off of that, and it's pretty interesting to just watch him work through all that stuff. It's like there's a lot of stuff going on in this guy's head, so we're just gonna work through all that. Right now he's like almost asleep, so that's good, because when we first got out of the trailer, I was like, we'll see how this ride goes today. He was pretty amped, so just getting him tacked up and kind of taking our time. He's already processed a lot of stuff. I'm sure as soon as we move on, he's gonna get amped again, and then he'll have to come back down. We'll go through that probably 100 times today, like no joke. So if you see him start getting amped, his mouth is gonna start moving. He'll probably then eventually come back down off of that. His mouth is gonna get quiet. That's just how he is.
Show me, I was out of frame. Show me what the kick looked like.
Yeah, well, it's very slow. He just goes like this. It's a weird quirk of his. But you at least can gauge what's going on in his head by all these weird little things that he does with his body. So, poor guy. He's just anxious. That's okay. We all have our issues. I get anxious too. The tumbleweed over there. You know, this is probably stuff from when he was started, and then just who knows where it came from, but he I feel like he's actually a pretty naturally chill horse, which is kind of weird. He's a weird combo because he's really calm about a lot of stuff, but he also has a lot of anxiety about a lot of stuff. So we've got to figure out where that anxiety is kind of stemming from and help him sort that out. So what are you doing? Does that feel funny on your lip? You're goofball. Are you grumpy that he's next to you? Yeah. She's so grumpy about him being next to her. Taz loves Riata, and Riata does not love Taz. Really, no one loves Taz other than
Clyde.
Clyde tolerates him.
Yeah.
They're kind of buddies.
The long lost half brothers.
And Josie and Taz have been together, so we've had Taz separated off because he needed to gain a little weight. So he's looking really good. That's why we're starting to ride him again, because we wanted him to gain some weight before we used him. We didn't want him to lose any more weight. So him and Josie have been pulled off because Josie is like starting to grow a little bit. So could use the extra calories. He definitely could use the extra calories. So they've been in their own little pen, and it's pretty funny to watch them because now they play. They'll like try to bite each other's face and stuff in a playful way, and so it's like, ha, I caught you, you are friends. They're kind of frenemies, but it's pretty cute. She just tolerates him, I think. Mace is your friend, huh? And Rooster, yeah.
So today's ride, we kind of have two goals for the day's ride. We want to, number one, just get Tazzy out and start working with him, and Alyssa ride him for the first time out in the hills since last summer. But then we're also going to look for arrowheads. It's really good weather for arrowheads. We had some snow up here, and this is kind of a known area where there was a lot of tribal activity back in the day. It's like a south-facing slope and kind of tucked in these bowls and rocks out of the wind. It's kind of a good place to be in the winter. So with that snow just melting off, it makes, like, a lot of times there's green arrowheads in this country, and it makes those green arrowheads just pop. So we're going to look for arrowheads and just kind of ride the foothills with Tazzy today.
Yeah, if we find them, we'll get off and pick them up and show you guys, and try not to have the mules step on them. But yeah, we'll try to show you guys if we can.
Obviously, you can't keep arrowheads. You're supposed to leave them where you find them on public land. But they're still so fun to see. It's so fun to find them and just kind of picture what people were living like back in that time. And so we love it. We find them a lot around here, like when we're out hunting and things like that. And we've found some really cool ones over the years. But I don't know. There's probably like a 10% chance that we actually find one today, but we're going to keep our eye out. I have the advantage today because I'm riding a lot closer to the ground than Alyssa will be.
A bird's eye view.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start by doing a little groundwork with Taz, especially since he's been standing around consuming so many calories and not doing much. I want to make sure that he's mentally checked in with me. There were a few people with a big pack of dogs up the road, and we can hear them barking from here. He's a little bit distracted about that.
Hey, that's looking good. Here, sit up. Yeah, perfect. Speaking of green arrowheads, this isn't an arrowhead, but here's that green rock we were talking about. So that's, I don't know if that one's necessarily been worked, but that's what they're made out of around here. A lot of them anyway. We've seen obsidian ones too, but there's some cool ones that are made out of this green. I don't know what this is. So
Is it Jasper?
yeah, maybe Jasper. I don't know. Someone probably knows. If you know what that is, let us know. But anyway, we've seen them a couple times made out of that stuff, and they're real pretty. You gotta keep your eye on the horizon around here, huh? All right, well, we did about, I don't know, 15 minutes of groundwork. Got his little mind checked back in. He hasn't done a whole lot lately either. He's just been standing around eating a lot of calories. So I can't really blame him for being a little busy-minded. But we're gonna go ahead and bridle him up. We're gonna work on doing it with quality, which might take a little longer. But we wanna do all of these little parts correctly, even if it takes longer. And eventually, this won't be a challenge at all. I don't have any treats in my hand, can you? There you go. Be nice and gentle, or don't clank his teeth. Hold his little ear forward. Hold his little ear forward. I'll show you a cool trick. Like with him, I don't trust taking this halter off and just leaving it around his neck. Clyde, I do. But this guy, I don't. Good boy, you're doing good. I'll lengthen those reins just a little bit. Take this up probably only one notch. I like to hang snaffles nice and loose. The thinking is, any contact on the corner of their mouth that's constant is just creating them to be duller, because they're always used to feeling that. Or if it's nice and loose, as soon as you pick up on that rein and it makes contact, then they're going to feel that and become a lot softer. You obviously don't want to hang in so loose that it's clanging into their teeth and causing issues. So now we've got this bridle on, but we still have our halter on. And I don't want to ride in my halter today because we're not planning on tying them up anywhere. And even if we were, you could stick this in your saddlebag. You don't want to ride with your halter on. So here's a kind of a cool little trick. It might not be as streamlined with him because he's not used to this. So you take your halter off. Okay, I'm going to pull this band through. Watch the knots. Okay, that's loose now. I'm going to take this nose band. I'm going to go through his mouth, over the top of the bit, behind the bit, and then out of his mouth. And now, let's watch our little knots, make sure they don't get tangled up. We got our halter off. You can put it back on the same way if you need to. And that's a little trick in case you don't want to have the halter just loose around their neck. If you do have a horse that might bolt and take off, that's a good way to do it. You're a goofy guy. Look at your little forelock. It's adorable. Don't be rude.
What do you guys think of his braids?
He looks so cute. We're trying to control this crazy little appy mane he's got going on here. He got it from his mama. The appy genetics. Look lacking in the main department a little bit, my friend. It's okay, you're pretty anyway. Yeah.
If you guys have been watching our videos with Taz, you know that one of his issues was he doesn't stand still for you to mount. So we're still continually working on that. I'm going to bend him to a stop, and then I'm going to gently pull on the saddle horn just to make sure that he has his balance in place before I go and put any weight on him. This is just something we do to make sure it's a lot nicer for our horse and we're not pulling them over sideways when we go to step on if they were off balance. He does better, but he does go to move off. I'm going to bend him to a stop. I'm going to give him a chance just to stand here, and if he goes to move off, like there I could feel he wanted to move forward, I'm going to bend him. We change sides each time I let him loose and he goes to move off. I'm just going to bend him again. I give him a couple chances just doing it this way, and he still wants to move off, so I'm going to change it up and go to rolling his hinds. I'm going to roll his hinds to a stop and then give him a slack rein and see if he'll stand there. He takes me up on that offer, which is awesome. Taz has a really hard time just standing and relaxing when someone's on his back. We're going to roll the hinds this other way. I'm going to ask that he does this maneuver with quality though. And now he's standing a lot better than he was. Now we can start out with our ride. There are some things I'm paying attention to with Taz. He is pretty buddy sour, and he's also trailer or barn sour, which means he wants to go faster on the way back home. Because he's herd bound or buddy sour, he really acts up if he feels like Riata is leaving us. But today I'm going to pay attention to a few other things that Taz is doing. His kicking behavior is a little bit puzzling to me. It could just be a weird quirk with his little anxious brain, but it also could be a sign of some pain. We're going to continue on with today's ride and just do whatever Taz needs us to do. For right now, that's a whole lot of serpentines as he's already getting pretty anxious, but I'm going to keep it in the back of my mind that there might be some underlying causes to his anxiousness besides just behavioral problems. As long as he's walking on a fairly loose rein, then I just leave him alone. But as soon as he tries to start jogging, I'm going to do some serpentines around the sagebrush. I'm going to try to use my legs before I pick up the rein. He doesn't really know how to work off my legs though, he just thinks everything means forward. So I do have to use one rein at a time quite a bit. I do feel like he is liking this bit a little bit better than the other one. He seems like he's using that roller with his tongue more than he's chomping at the bit. Taz does need his teeth done. I've been paying close attention to make sure that the bit isn't causing any issues in his mouth. He does have his wolf teeth removed, so that's really good. He doesn't seem to have anything crazy going on in there from what I can see, but he definitely needs just a routine floating. We'll have the vet thoroughly check and make sure there's not any issues that I missed. It is awesome when he offers to just slow down and stop. That's what we're looking for. I just want him to be relaxed out here.
He wants to chill. We're gonna let him chill. That's great.
This is one thing that is concerning to me about Taz. While Taz urinates normally sometimes, usually while we're riding, he'll try to urinate multiple times and it's always small amounts. Sometimes he's even unsuccessful. He never fully drops when he goes to urinate either, which isn't normal. While it might seem funny to talk about a horse's bathroom behaviors, it can be a huge red flag as far as their health goes.
This could be caused by some major issues, which could also contribute a lot to how anxious he is. And as soon as I feel like he's a little bit more chill, like there, let's take a break. That's what I want. I just want your feet still. Nice. Yeah, we can go on. Hopefully at a walk. If we can't, we'll do some more circles. It's fun to see that there are quite a few deer and antelope tracks. There are also a bunch of horse tracks and horse droppings. Some of these are from wild horses in the area. We were curious if we were going to end up running into any today. When I ask Taz to leave Riata, he tends to throw a little tantrum. Thankfully, it's mostly a bluff and he works out of it very quickly. I just ask him to keep moving forward and don't make a big deal about it.
A lot of times in this kind of like drier lower country, you'll find arrowheads at the top of these little buttes. And this specific spot has dozens of these just little knobs and little rock outcrops and stuff like that. And so we're gonna get Riata and Taz a little exercise and climb some of these and see if we can find a spot like maybe where they worked on some heads at the top of these little buttes. So this was fun. It's nice to be out here. I'm glad it's not all icy. We need snow in this country so that we have water in the summer, but it's kind of nice for riding to not have any snow and ice yet.
Taz is pretty out of shape and I go ahead and zigzag him up the hills. This makes it a little bit easier for him to climb them. We're not going to climb anything too steep today, and I'm making sure that he's not getting overly tired. I have noticed that Taz has some back end weakness though, and this aligns with the other suspicions I've had about maybe some bladder issues. Taz is definitely lacking in muscle tone and he is really out of shape, so his back end weakness could certainly just be from that. However, back end weakness does align with the issues I'm starting to be pretty suspicious about. We were curious what this post was. It had a rebar stake sticking out of it. I think it was just an old H brace, but it was propped up in a peculiar way. Jason wasn't filming, but Taz stopped up here at the top and tried to urinate. Nothing came out and he started throwing a major fit afterwards. Paying close attention to that, I feel like there must be some pain involved with that scenario. Because I'm starting to wonder if Taz isn't feeling well physically, we're going to change our plans for today. Good job, buddy. I'm just gonna circle back over here where it's not so slicking. Taz is definitely an interesting horse because he's not overly spooky. That jackrabbit popping out right by his feet didn't seem to bug him at all. He does have a harder time going downhill. We do lots of serpentines and zigzags to make sure that it's a little bit easier for him. He just wants to take off going downhill. Part of that could be back end weakness from just being out of shape. Part of that could also be from maybe some pain. I'm putting all this together during this ride today. I don't know yet without a vet checkup if my suspicions are correct. This could all just be behavioral issues from his past trauma at the trainers.
But as this ride is unfolding today, I'm starting to feel like there's definitely an underlying cause, at least for some of his anxiety.
Well, sometimes when you're working with these guys, you don't get to do what you planned on. Thankfully, we have the luxury of we're just riding for fun. We don't really have a job to do like, I don't know, real cowboys and ranchers and stuff like that. We're just out here trying to make our mule and horse a little better. So our priority has kind of shifted a little bit from looking for arrowheads and, you know, archaeological cool stuff and sheds to just doing whatever's best for Taz, whatever he needs. So we're about 300 yards from the truck and trailer, and old Taz has already walked like 5 miles doing serpentines around the sagebrush, but that's what he needs, and so that's what he and Alyssa are working on today, and it's a perfect place to do it because it's nice, safe, flat, and there's a lot of sage.
I'll just be on record. We're walking straight on a loose frame.
I know that it's pretty hard to hear us with all the wind, but we were just commenting on how Taz was finally walking on a loose line and looking fairly relaxed. This was a big win for the day so far.
50 yards. All right, I don't know if you guys can see it, but I found a shed horn. Yep. And yes, I meant shed horn.
Oh.
Check that out. Antelope horn. They're the only horned animal that actually sheds their horns. They end up being kind of gross. They fall apart. They're not like deer and elk antlers. These are made of hair. And so they get kind of gross. They get wet and they start to deteriorate. But it's still kind of fun to find. That was neat. I don't know if this would be from this year's. They drop in like November-ish. But it might be this year's. It might be... it's got to be this year's, actually. I don't know what I'm thinking. This has to be this year's, otherwise it would have been more disintegrated. But kind of cool. I don't even think I'll keep it, but fun to find anyway. Oh yeah, Alyssa says I better keep it. We have a little collection at home. Right in here. Want to see something fancy? Watch this. And film myself getting on. See how good my mule is. Nailed it. Sweet, that's pretty cool. Found something. I just said we're kind of stopping looking for sheds and arrowheads and stuff, and then sure enough, found one. Now I want to find more.
There you go, buddy. Hey, look at that. Maybe. I don't know how long I can film. Or he has another anxiety meltdown here. See, he doesn't really one hand, so it's hard. Oh, we might get a turn. Yeah, buddy. You can kind of cheat and use your pinky a little bit on green colts to one-hand them, and that's what I have to do with him. So you're using a direct rein and an indirect rein at the same time. But then you gotta turn your wrist kind of a weird way to do it this direction. But that's kind of how you can one-hand a horse that doesn't know how to neck rein yet. He's not very good at riding off of our legs. He thinks everything with your leg just means go forward faster. So he's got to differentiate the like moving off your leg to turn versus always just going forward. He's starting to do better. We're moving away from Riata now, so he's a little amped, but he likes to throw little tantrums and do some crow hopping and stuff, but he just has a lot of anxiety is all. So that's okay. Let's stick it out here. Let's go through this wash, buddy. Nice. He likes to trot uphill. There you go. That was a good turn. Way to go. Look at that. Nice loose rein. We're just walking. Oh. Don't break gate, buddy. Riding him is a little bit like riding a drunken sailor. Ty and all the horsemen talk about keeping your horse in a box. So if you picture a box being around him, you want that horse centered in that. Oh, we're turning. We're turning. I know, you got it. Oh, we got it. Good job. So you want your horse centered in that box. You don't want him pushing on the front, back, either side, up or down on your box. Hopefully not up or down, because that would mean they're bucking. Ooh, it's muddy right here. Jeez. Like Clyde, I can keep him pretty centered in that imaginary box with just my legs. We've worked really hard on that. But old Tasman here, he is kind of just on every single side of it, front, back, side to side. There's not much being centered riding with him. So it's just the way it is for now. I'll just work on it a little bit every time. I just wanted to get out of that mud down there. Oh yeah, here's some little shards. Well, they're just little green pieces. Good boy. Oh, look at that. We're standing still.
You can see there's a really cool cave. Wait, where? Right there. Where am I pointing? Yeah, there's a cool cave up there on that hill. I don't think we'll make it all the way up there today, but
Taz tried a couple more times to pee and he wasn't successful. We're gonna call this a day. I don't want to push it if he is in any pain. So we're gonna head back to the pickup. You can see here after he tried to urinate, he's pretty irritated. This could be from some pain. It also could just be anxiety from standing still. And I just feel like there's gotta be something underlying that's causing him so much distress.
well, I'll tell you what. Even though Taz is having a little bit of a rough day, I know he's going to turn out to be a good horse, but what a blessing it is to be able to come out here and ride. This is awesome. Especially, all good for me. Rihanna's having a great day. I'm having a great day. Alyssa's having to do all the work. But, oh man, it is fun to be able to come out and go for a ride at least.
One positive about doing all these little roll the hind and roll the front maneuvers is that Taz is actually getting pretty good at bringing his front end around. He has a lot of athletic ability and he's starting to get some nice little reaches here, which will lead to some really cool haunch turns later on.
Well, she's at least getting to work on a lot of good circles with Tazzy. And I just spotted one of those green rocks when I was getting ready to film her working with him. I'm gonna try and show you. I don't think it's been worked or anything, but it's that cool bright green color. And when you find an arrowhead that's that color, it's really neat. I just found it. Isn't that cool? Oh, Rihanna's leaving me. Kind of neat. Definitely hasn't been worked, but that's a cool colored rock. I like those.
All of this anxiousness is quote unquote normal for Taz, and it's the main reason our neighbors offered him to us. This very well could all be coming from an anxious mind. And if that's the case, we'll continue doing what we did on this ride to help him work through it. That said, I do think the trainer who started Taz was really hard on him. From the few videos I've seen of Taz as a 2-year-old, there was a lot of drilling and not much time given for him to stop, process, and think. That kind of pressure can really stick with a horse, especially a sensitive one like Taz. This ride, however, helped piece together some things I've been noticing, and it made the possibility of an underlying physical issue feel very real. The kicking, tail swishing, anxious behavior under saddle, and urination issues could all point to something more serious going on, such as bladder stones or another internal problem. Taz has a lot of potential and isn't overly spooky. Something just feels off to me. Since filming this ride, I've made an appointment with our vet. Taz goes in next week for a full workup. He'll have his teeth checked and floated, his coggins updated, his sheath cleaned to check for any issues, and he'll also be getting an ultrasound to look for possible kidney or bladder problems. Depending on what we find or don't find, we'll go from there. Until we rule these things out, we're not going to put any more rides on Taz. If he's in pain, riding him isn't going to do anything positive for his mental state. We'll be sure to share an update on what we find. If you want to follow along as we work to help Taz, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll share more about this guy soon.